Hello, everyone, and welcome to the information session for the Australia-India Women's Researchers Exchange Program. I'm Associate Professor Priya Rangan, and I'm a Principal Consultant for Government Projects at the Australia-India Institute. Though I'm joining you from India for this webinar, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which the Australia-India Institute's office in Melbourne stands, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. I also extend this respect to all the Indigenous people joining us today from various lands across Australia and India. Today, we'll walk you through the details of the program and make sure you have all the information you need to move forward with your application if you choose to apply. But before I start, I'd like to introduce you to the CEO of the Australia-India Institute, the Honourable Lisa Singh, who will share a few words.
Thank you very much, Priya, and good morning and good afternoon to all of those who are joining us for this webinar. It's fantastic to see so many individuals who are interested in this Australia-India Women's Researchers Exchange program. And before we dive into the details, I just wanted to address a crucial issue that this initiative aims to tackle and is so important, and that is the underrepresentation of women in STEM. While women contribute significantly to STEM fields, their numbers are still disproportionately low, particularly in research leadership roles. And that means we're missing out on the diverse perspectives, the innovative ideas, and the management skills that women bring to the table. So one way we can begin to address this imbalance is by providing more opportunities for women researchers, particularly at the early stages of their careers. So by supporting talented women researchers through initiatives like this, we can indeed like this particular AIWE program, we can indeed really help pave the way for their advancement and leadership in STEM fields. This particular program, the AIWE program, is funded by the Australian Government Department of Education. It offers 10 fellowships for early career postdoctoral researchers in STEM disciplines. And the program really aims to expand opportunities for bilateral research collaboration between Australia and India. Over the past 2 decades, our universities have really established strong collaborative research relationships. But most of these universities are based in our capital cities and our sort of mega metropolitan centres, and often are also dominated by male researchers. So this program really targets women STEM researchers working in public universities in regional centres and cities who may have relatively fewer opportunities to establish connections for collaborating with counterparts from other countries. So before I hand back to Priya, I just wanted to express my appreciation as the CEO of the Australia-India Institute to the Australian Government Department of Education for supporting this initiative, and also to acknowledge Liz Campbell-Dorning, the Director of South Asia International Quality Branch and International Division at the Australian Government Department of Education, for being here and joining us today. And also, of course, a special thank you to our steering selection committee, comprising leading women STEM scholars in their own rights from universities in Australia and in India. Their contributions have really been invaluable in shaping this program. So I'd very much like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the chair of that particular committee, and that's Dr. Pankaj Mittal, who serves as the Secretary General of the Association of Indian Universities. We deeply value her leadership. Thank you all once again for your interest in the AIWE program. We're very much looking forward to seeing this impactful research that comes from this program help strengthen bilateral cooperation between our 2 countries that will emerge over time from this important initiative. And of course, most importantly, to support the next generation of women leaders in research in STEM. Thank you, and back over to you, Priya.
Thank you, Lisa. Next, I'd like to invite Liz Campbell-Dorning, Director of South Asia International Quality Branch, International Division, Australian Government Department of Education, to offer a few opening words.
Thank you so much, Priya. And if I can reciprocate the thanks to the Honourable Lisa Singh and your excellent team at the Australia India Institute for this fantastic initiative. I think Lisa beautifully articulated why this is such a priority for the for both governments, but for the Department of Education, especially in partnering with the Australia India Institute in delivering these fellowships. Thank you also to everyone on the call today. Thanks for giving up your time to learn more about this initiative. We truly think it's an excellent opportunity for women in STEM research careers to develop your connections, to connect with researchers, and to really forge those links between Australia and India that strengthen both of our research systems. As Lisa mentioned, this exchange program is specifically designed for early career, postdoctoral women researchers in STEM disciplines. And we're really hoping that through these fellowships, it's going to strengthen that research collaboration between Australia and India, which is already good, but as Lisa mentioned, is not even across our countries, and also contributing in a modest way to addressing some of the gender challenges that we see in STEM research. So for that reason, we're funding this program of 10 fellowships to give opportunities to you to create those connections and develop the research that is so vital to the futures of both of our countries. This initiative is very much aligned with a broad range of government strategies, which I won't go into in detail today, but really emphasises the deep commitment we have on both sides to deepen ties in science and technology. And I will finish by saying we really hope that the successful fellows that are selected for this fantastic opportunity become ambassadors for the Australia-India research relationship. So I wish you very good luck should you choose to apply for one of the fellowships, and I will hand back to Priya to give you some more details about them.
Thank you, Liz. And thank you for such generous introduction and context for the project, for the program. So I'm going to proceed and talk about the fellowship program. So what we'll do during this session is that we'll go over the details of the program, what it entails, the benefits for the participants, the entire application process, including the eligibility criteria, key dates, and how to submit your application. And finally, if you have any questions, we'll have time for question and answers at the end of this session. So please enter any questions you may have about the program or the application process into the Q&A box. However, if you have specific questions regarding your individual eligibility, we kindly ask that you email those queries to the Arch India administration email. You can find the email in the chat box. So I'm just going to start the PowerPoint presentation now. So broadly speaking, this is general information about the Australia-India Women's Researchers Exchange Program, as Liz and Lisa have explained. We're delivering this program on behalf of the Australian Government Department of Education, aiming to contribute to the vision of both countries to improve gender equity for women researchers in STEM disciplines. And what we are doing is opening 10 fellowships to women postdoctoral scholars. And they have to be early career researchers who've received their doctoral degree within the last 5 years. That's the official definition of an early career researcher. And it should be across STEM disciplines from Australia and India for short-term research exchange between 6 to 8 weeks. So there are 5 for Indian women STEM researchers and 5 for Australian women STEM research. The Indian researchers should be from central and state public universities, which are located in Tier 2 and Tier 3 Indian cities. Could be Tier 4 also, but it basically cannot be Tier 1 city. And in the Australian context, they have to be from universities located in Australian regional centres, and we'll be explaining those in greater detail as we progress. So the aims, again, are to enable the researchers to develop their networks with counterparts in the other country, build on their, have an opportunity and time to initiate some new collaborative research or build on their research publications, their ongoing work. They also can have this opportunity to understand how higher education works and how research works in that context of higher education in the other country. And very importantly, become ambassadors for the relationship and promote the research engagement beyond universities, just in the major cities, which are, very well represented. So again, the benefits for the fellows would be the opportunity to engage in collaboration, build those connections, networking, and also explore opportunities to do innovative work, which they can come up with through that collaboration, and ultimately improve the equity in the research community, gender equity in the research community. So as I described, eligibility, there's a lot of details we've provided in the eligibility section. So first, as I said, women early career postdoctoral researchers, they should have been awarded their doctoral degree within the last 5 years. So we've been specific in saying between January 2019 and August 2024 in a STEM discipline. And the definition that we are using for a STEM discipline is based on the Australian Standard Classification of Education. And they are as follows: natural and physical sciences, information technology, engineering and related technologies, agriculture, environmental and related studies, mathematical sciences are considered a subfield under the natural and physical sciences. So we've got a long list of people who are not eligible, just to make it very clear. And that is anyone who is not, as we defined, an early career researcher who has received their PhD within the last 5 years. So that excludes undergraduate students, master's students, coursework or research, doctoral students who have not yet finished, any early career researchers who are based in the Tier 1 metropolitan cities in India, early career researchers who are based in universities in Australian capital cities, but that excludes Hobart and Darwin. Also, it excludes any early career researchers who have participated in any joint Australia-India PhD program within the past 10 years. And early career researchers who are employed in non-academic or non-research roles, but who are in professional or administrative roles in their home universities. and anyone who has been a recipient of the 2022-2023 Australia-India Research Student Fellowship. So the Australian universities located in regional centres are specifically all of these that have been listed on this slide. I'm just going to read them out quickly. It's Bond University, Charles Darwin University, Charles Sturt University, CQ University, Federation University, Griffith University, James Cook University, Southern Cross University, the University of New England, the University of Newcastle, the University of Southern Queensland, University of Tasmania, University of the Sunshine Coast. So if any of these universities have capital city campuses and you happen to be based in any of them, with the exception of Hobart and Darwin, you would be ineligible to apply. So you have to be located in the main campus, which is in the regional center. In the Indian case, as I said, it has to be Indian central and state public universities in Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4 Indian cities. So this excludes also all the Indian institutes of technology, Indian institutes of science and science education research, all private universities, and any and all institutions holding deemed university status located in Tier 2 and Tier 3 universities. We also do not include any pure research organization which does not have an academic teaching program. So the key thing, though, is that even though the eligible applicants must come from these regional universities or universities in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, they are not restricted to going to institutions in these places. They can undertake their fellowship at any higher education institution or any university in Australia and India, regardless of its location. So the key point here in terms of employment is that applicants must be employed full-time at their eligible home university at the time of applying and must remain employed for the duration of the research of the fellowship at their home university. They must be in an academic position, as we said, not in an administrative or professional position. An academic position focused on teaching and or research at their home university. They must be Australian citizens or permanent residents employed at an eligible university in Australia. And likewise, in India, they have to be Indian citizens employed at an eligible university in India. So the research project that you undertake during the fellowship can be either for a new project or contribute towards the existing research that you're doing, an existing research project. So we've identified some preferential themes, and they align with the following broad critical research priority areas, which have been identified by the two governments in a communique issued in 2023 by the Australia-India Education and Skills Council. And these are critical minerals, artificial intelligence and related fields, logistics, healthcare, clean energy, and sustainable agriculture. The AIWE committee has identified a few additional priority fields, and they include quantum computing, water and waste management, nanoscience and technology, animal sciences, and biotechnology. So you have all of these topics which are identified as priority areas. But even if your research does not fit directly within these priority areas, you're welcome to apply. The strength of your application will be considered in the process of of decision making and selection. In terms of funding, the Australian fellows traveling to India will receive 9,000 Australian dollars. Indian fellows traveling to Australia will receive 12,000 Australian dollars, and the difference is based on the cost of living in the two countries. The duration has to be between 6 and 8 weeks. Anything less than 6 weeks will not be considered, and anything more than 8 weeks will not be considered. And it's important that the fellows must complete their exchange travel by the 31st of May 2025. In terms of payment, the successful candidates will receive a lump sum payment into their bank account, but it is subject to the receipt of the signed letter of acceptance and valid proof of visa and travel bookings. That means you need to have your visa and your plane ticket and travel insurance. All of this information you have to provide before the money can be transferred. In terms of expenses, eligible expenses, the fellows will be required to submit a short expenditure account of their activity report. The eligible expenses are: you have to book an international economy airfare, a single return economy airfare. You have to have a visa for Australia, India, the visa expenses, accommodation, travel and health insurance to cover all your individual requirements and contingencies for the full duration of the fellowship. This has to be anything that is separate from any other kinds of schemes, health insurance schemes that you may be part of in your own country. This has to be covered separately. Transport costs, for example, to and from the airport, undertake fellowship activities, but not for, your private local transport for, getting from the university to your accommodation and so on. Standard living expenses, which includes food and all of those sorts of things. Local transport, language training and translation services, should you need these. And if you are attending any conferences or cost of events which are directly related to your research while they are happening during the fellowship period, then you can include that as an eligible expense. So the funds are there for you to spend on all of these different kinds of categories, expense categories. So the application process, well, the guidelines available on the website. Please read the guidelines. They're quite extensive. They include terms and conditions. Please go through them carefully. You will need to register on ARCH India. ARCH stands for Australian Researcher Cooperation Hub. And you register as a researcher. You can download the application form in a Word format. You can prepare your answers, and then you can just cut and paste it on the online application form. You need to have all your supporting documents ready, your CV, resume, letter of recommendation from your department, letter of support from the home university, and a letter of support from the host institution. And then you apply online and you upload all of that information. Okay, there are a number of application questions. And first is a statement on why you're applying for the AIWE program, the title of the research project, how your research aligns with the priority fields, if applicable. If not, there's an other category where you can explain it. Alignment with the Sustainable Development Goals, if applicable. You can always look up the Sustainable Development Goals online. the research topic, field of study, the field that it fits in, the project overview, what are you going to do, a short summary, an overview, what are the key research questions, what is the methodology you're going to follow, what is the outline or structure of your research, how are you going to communicate that research, what other kinds of activities are you going to carry out during your exchange period, activities, networking, presentations, and so on and so forth. And then there's this important aspect which looks at the societal benefits of the research project. It's something that the steering committee wanted the applicants to think about. How will the research that they're doing contribute broadly to the societal benefits in their own country or for both countries? How does your research align with the objectives of the AIWE program? And I think we've told you that the objectives are to improve the networks, to increase the opportunities for innovation and collaboration. How do you expect this to benefit your career progression, and what would the benefits be for your home university that you're going to return to after the exchange program? So how will the assessment take place? So the selection panel will review the applications in relation to the following criteria. It has to be a well-defined research proposal. They look at what you're saying in terms of expected outputs from the fellowship, such as joint authored publications or workshops or laboratory collaborations, conference presentations. If you're going to take the laboratory collaborations back and work remotely and discuss experiments that you're doing in both your contexts with your fellow collaborator. And they'll look at the statement of why you're applying for a fellowship. They'll also consider the applicant's CV and resume, and they look at 5 key single or jointly authored publications related to the proposed research activity. So you may have many publications, but what the committee will be looking for is you highlighting the 5 most important publications of yours, 5 or up to 5, not more, publications that are directly related to the activity, the research activity that you are going to do, so that they can see that there's a certain kind of alignment and continuity or relationship with the work that you're currently doing. Then they'll be looking at the letters of support and recommendation, and they will also look for a certain balance in fellows across the different STEM disciplines and distribution of fellows across the universities in both. So they're going to be applying a whole range of these kinds of criteria when they assess the applications. So the key dates, the applications have opened. They opened on 26th of August. They're going to close on the 30th of September and at 22:30 hours or 10:30 p.m. in Australia and 7 p.m. in India. The successful applicants will be announced mid-October, and the people who are successful must submit their letter of acceptance within 2 weeks of being informed. And the last date to complete the fellowship has to be 31st May 2025. And as soon as they start their fellowship, we will of course be informed that you have started your fellowship, and you have to submit your activity report to us within 2 weeks of officially completing your fellowship. It doesn't mean that you have to, send it. You may be wanting to travel afterwards, but as soon as you complete your fellowship, you have to submit your activity report within 2 weeks. So that's the summary. I'm happy to take questions now from you. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start taking the first question, and that is, does the program accept career interruption? I think that the explanation needs to be given in the relevant section of the application, and an explanation needs to be given about when you received the degree and when you officially took time off from your work, and for whatever reason, and how you've returned, and if you can provide that information, it will be taken into account. Okay, the second question is, does the mentor need to be female to qualify for the AIWE scheme? No, they don't need to be a female mentor. The key thing is to have the right mentor for the work that you want to pursue. It would be, of course, wonderful if you found a female mentor in the university or that you wanted to work, and you wanted to pursue your research. What kind of networking activities can I facilitate in India? Well, I think that networking is really about getting to know colleagues in the department or the university that you're going to be affiliated with or based in for the period of your exchange program. So your mentor can give you advice. You can get to know the colleagues in those departments. You can attend their seminars. You can then talk to them about the people they're collaborating with. You can ask for introductions. You can attend some of these conferences if they happen to take place during your exchange period, and in that process you can get to know more researchers working within that country in your field. And so we expect that those will be the sorts of activities, networking activities that you can do while you're in India. So yeah, I think that's how I would sort of think about it. Can you still apply if your passport has expired, but you have applied for a passport renewal? This is something that you can apply, but essentially, if you get selected, you need to be able to apply for a visa. And so if you have your renewed passport and you can apply for a visa, then you should be fine. But at the moment, if you want to apply, whether or not your passport is being renewed is not really a worry. You should just apply, and hopefully you'll have your passport renewed and ready to apply for a visa by the time the decision is made. Right. Does the program consider nursing as a STEM field? Now, nursing is something very specific, and I would it's in the health sciences, but I would suggest that you look at the priority sectors. And if your research happens to be in an area which aligns with any of the priority sectors, and it may very well be so because research in nursing may be across any of those, across some of those sectors like biotechnology. So you could see if your research aligns, your research, which is tied to nursing, but which may align with any of those priority sectors, you could think about how you want to pitch your research or approach your research accordingly. So my answer is, please see how your background or your research interest aligns with some of the priority sectors. And if it doesn't, you just put it as other and put it in there. And if it is strong enough, I'm sure the selection committee will look at it with interest. Is it possible to apply for the AIWE program, program, with an Australian professor, mentor of Indian origin? Absolutely, there's no such restriction. They just have to have the professor based in an Australian university, and that is what is most important. And it doesn't matter what their background is, where they're originally from. They could be from anywhere. As long as they are employed in Australian university, that's all that matters. Okay, I'm going to continue on with a lot of questions. I'm very happy that there are so many questions. I hope I'm answering them properly and you're finding it useful. Okay, what should be our method of approaching the host university in Australia for the letter of support? That's an interesting question. I think what you need to do is look at the department and in the host university that you're interested in working, the person, the mentor, and you'll find their email address. So you write to them and you say, look, I'm applying for this this program, give them the link to the program, and I'm sorry, I just my screen just changed a little bit. Okay, and then request them ask them if they would be willing to host you if you are successful in receiving the fellowship, and you explain what your research project is, and you tell them how you think that your being there would be beneficial to them and to you. Just give them a little short, brief explanation, and write to them, write to the mentor. The mentor will get back to you and perhaps consult with their own department or their own head of school, and see if they can do, they can provide you with the necessary support while you are there for the exchange, and they will get back to you accordingly. And so the best strategy, I would say, is to have a list of universities that, 2 or 3 universities that you would like to potentially work at, and you have mentors, potential mentors, and approach them one by one if just in case, one of them cannot support you because they're traveling or they're on sabbatical or study leave or whatever reason. So it's always good to have a list of 2 or 3 or 4 institutions that you can approach. You need to get started very quickly because the deadline is coming up. Okay. Is there any criteria on the number of publications to be included in the resume? I think there's a limit on how many pages you can have for your resume, your CV, and really what we're really interested in is not a long list of conferences and publications that you have that you have attended or published. What we really want to see is what are the 5 most relevant articles or publications, whether it's single authored, joint authored, or conference papers that you have presented or published, which have a direct relevance to your research. And so that's really what we're looking for. We do not want to have a long list of publications. Does commerce qualify as a discipline? Well, commerce is a discipline, but it isn't listed as a STEM discipline. I think you need to look at the definition of STEM that we've provided up front in the guidelines, and also look at the priority sectors. But if you feel that there is some aspect of commerce that aligns with the priority sectors, and you think that you can substantiate it or justify it being part of STEM, then I would encourage you to be bold and give it a try. Okay. Is it okay to align the work already being conducted at the host university and expand on it? Well, that's something that is a very good idea. You have to talk to your host institution, your mentor, and say, well, how about I do this research and I expand on it, and whatever you're doing, that's a very good idea. Something that will, I'm sure, appeal to the mentor in your host institution. How do I approach a mentor in Australia? I think I've explained to you I've answered that question. You just identify the universities, you identify the people that you think are working in your field. The Arch India is a good place. The website is a good place for you to also explore Australian researchers working in different fields. I would advise you to go through the Arch India website and look at all the people who have registered there, and maybe approach them that way. So you'll need to do a bit of quick research. You can start from the Arch India website and then go on to looking at the specific universities or specific people and then contacting them directly. Can I undertake a fellowship at an Australian industry? Unfortunately, you cannot. It's important that you do it at a university, not in an industry context, not also in a pure research organization context, like the CSIRO or any other research institution, purely research institution. Will this opportunity be available next year? We cannot say that at this particular moment, because this is a pilot, and as both Lisa and Liz have mentioned, we're very keen to see how this progresses, how well it works out, and how beneficial it is for the people who receive the fellowship. And then we will use that as the basis to see if we can encourage our respective governments to promote it. So at the present, what we can say is that this is the preliminary, this is our first time, the program, and we encourage you to apply, and if it's a productive and fruitful experience for everyone, then I guess, it will be great for us to then make a pitch for continuing this in subsequent years. What if I'm an Indian citizen and graduated from a regional Australian university? Am I still eligible? I think that if you are not yet a permanent Australian permanent resident, and if you're not employed full-time at an regional Australian university, then unfortunately I do not think you would qualify to apply for this fellowship program. Okay, I don't have 5 publications, as some are still pending publication. Will this impact my selection? No, you can put it down. You can put the titles down. You can mention the name of the journals where it is being reviewed. And You can say that it's pending review or pending publication, or it's been accepted and it's due to come out. So you can provide that information when you apply. In the application, international office approval from India is needed in the letter. Is it mandatory? In terms of, I think that we have used the term international office approval as a kind of generic term because, you know, universities have different departments or different sections, and we're not always sure of the titles of these departments. But essentially, you need to have approval from your home institution, your department, whichever department in your university gives approval for international travel. If you're from India, then you need to get that approval from your university's department, which approves any kind of international travel. And so that is important because, and it is mandatory, because if you do not have their approval, then it will be difficult for you to be approved leave and travel for the 8 weeks duration. That is a condition of this fellowship program. As we have to propose the 6 to 8 week duration ourselves, how should we decide on a suitable duration? This is something. So it has to be between 6 weeks and 8 weeks. Now, it's something that the scope of your research will be determined partly by a quick discussion between you and your research mentor. So your first job is to find your research mentor in the other country, and then talk about your research project and say, this is what I would like to do with you when I'm in your country, in your department. So this is what I think I will do within these 6 weeks or 8 weeks. I'll come there, and these are the experiments that I think I would like to do in your laboratory, or this is the work that I can do. And you say, well, what do you think? You know, do you think it's feasible, or should we reduce the scope and keep it more narrowly focused, or should we change the focus to something different? So it's something that you will have to discuss and negotiate as you talk it through with your mentor. Can I carry out my research exchange at a private university in Australia, like Torrens University in Adelaide? Adelaide does not, first of all, I guess Adelaide is a capital city, and any university in a capital city is not, oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Yep, I correct myself. Okay, the question is whether you can do your research at a private university in Australia. That's an interesting question. I didn't really think about it. I'm going to consult on this, and please send send an email directly to the inquiry at Arch India, and we'll follow up on it and respond to you once we've checked with the steering committee and also the department. If your PhD was completed only a month outside of the eligibility time frame, can you still apply? Okay. Now, when you say if your PhD was completed only a month outside, I think what we are looking for is when the PhD was awarded to you officially by your university. That date is what matters. And if it was just a month outside of the eligibility time frame, you can just put that in and you can say that, look, it was just a month beforehand, but I was awarded this degree on this particular day. All right. So, all right. I think that we have pretty much covered most of the questions, I think, and we're coming to the close. So if there are any other questions or issues that we want to be raised, I believe we could do that right now. If not, we can conclude our session. So before I end, I'd like to again thank you for joining us today and showing interest in the program. So I hope I've made things clear. I've provided enough information and answered all your questions. Please email us if you have any other questions via the Arch India administration email. We'll also update our FAQs on the website, so please check those regularly. This session has been recorded and will be made available via the AIWE program webpage. So we look forward to your applications. We look forward to receiving them and connecting with the next generation of women STEM leaders in both countries. Thank you and good luck.